Greetings everyone, hey, how you doing? It's Matt Sella here. Today, I'm doing a special spoiler review for the latest DCEU film, or New Line Cinema, whatever you want to call it, superhero film called Shazam. That's right folks, I just saw Shazam, and boy oh howdy, did I ever enjoy it. So for those who are just joining us, if you haven't read the title of this video or seen the intro of this podcast, this is a spoiler review. I'm going to try to refrain talking specific stuff all the time, but I will be talking about specifically what happens throughout the film near the end and even the post-credit scene, because I do have some questions that I think some fans of the Shazam comic line should probably let me know, because I have some confusion in there and I would love to know more. So first things first, we're all kind of wondering here, does this have much to do with Batman, Superman, or Wonder Woman and all those guys? Well, like I said, this is a spoiler review, so I'm going to briefly talk about some of this stuff. It is heavily implied to take place in this same universe as the Aquaman with the Momoa and all that. The characters are kind of shown as their logos, not really like celebrity faces are shown, but like the silhouette or the color palette that we commonly seen these characters portray. It's all there, so it's implied. Specifically, if it's like Henry Cavill's Superman or Ben Affleck's Batman, which is not going to be in the future for those who keep up with the DC news, it is implied that these characters, at the very least, exist in this universe, and they are a major inspiration for some of the characters in the film. So, that's already established there. Good for you. But yeah, I actually really enjoyed this movie quite a lot. I didn't expect it to be a Christmas movie, even though I remember seeing trailers and I don't know why. I thought they were in Chicago. I guess whenever I see a city with snow, I think of Home Alone in Chicago. Just, I don't know, it just seems to work in that mind. But it's actually taking place in Philadelphia, which is pretty cool. I thought the characters were very charming. Like, I like Zachary Levi's adult Billy Batson's form in Shazam. I also like the kid, the disabled kid who helped him out, trying to like find his identity, explore his powers and all that kinds of stuff. And Mark Strong, he was a lot of fun to see as the villain in this movie. He was a bit machismo for me, personally. Like, a lot of his antics and plans was very much of the, dare I say, early 2000s superhero villain, where he was just over-the-top bad guy. And I don't know, I remember when I saw the trailers, I don't know why, I thought he had, like, human henchmen, and he was like a drug dealer who was kind of, like, high on superpowers of some sort. I don't know. I thought of X-Men, sort of, at that point. So I was like, oh, he's that kind of guy. No, he's just a little brat who wasn't chosen to be the next champion. And so he got spiteful, spent his entire life trying to figure out how to get that power. Finally did so, released the 7 deadly sins, which, by the way, I gotta give props to. I actually really like how they rendered out the demons, the 7 deadly sin creatures. I actually thought they did a fantastic job there. I don't really know what the budget was for this movie, but I do believe that the trope is that a lot of these shots took place in like dark alleys, caves, or just at night, which some people kind of make that speculation saying like, well, it's easy to make CGI characters in darkness because the lighting and all that. And I say, yeah, no, that's pretty much true. And I think it worked in this movie's favor in that regard. Yes, the film itself did kind of have that little cheapo cinematography. That's what I'm looking for. However, I actually think it worked very well in that favor. I don't know if this was quite the focus, but I kind of got a bit of that John Hughes vibe from this movie. I guess sort of similar to what they said Spider-Man Homecoming was supposed to have. And accompanying that with the CGI demon things, they looked very tangible to me. They were limited in movement for some parts. So when they were still and kind of like towering over the other characters, including Mark Strong, to me, they look like practical effects to me sometimes. Like, I thought they did a good job there. Maybe limiting their movement is what made them look more convincing. I don't know. I remember even in the office scene when Mark Strong's character confronted his daddy, and when he had that like one demon like walking towards him at the very end, it kind of looked like maybe it slid a little bit, but it still looked like a real thing. Maybe not a living creature. I don't know. The point is, I thought they were really well done. Zachary Levi as Shazam looked fine to me for the most part. I didn't quite buy his muscles too much, but maybe that's just how the outfit is supposed to look. I'm not really too sure. But I was actually kind of glad because I don't know if this is just like a DC versus Marvel thing, but I like the fact that we kind of got more of that DBZ fighting style thing between the hero and the villain where they just fly around, zipping across the skyline of the city, beating each other up. And I'll be honest with you, that was some of my favorite moments in Man of Steel because I'm like, we're not going to get a decent live-action Dragon Ball Z film. Superman fighting Zod. Yeah, sure. People are like, it's sure he's not a good Superman. I was like, okay, that aside, only being Superman for a day, by the way. I actually thought the action in that movie was pretty cool, and we kind of got a bit of that in Shazam. Not as much destruction, obviously. I mostly put that down to the limited budget, but either way, it was still kind of fun to see them just floating around. Like, part of me kept thinking that Mark Strong was going to act like Frieza, being all cocky and like, no, you're no hero, or something like that. I don't know. But that was fun. To kind of conclude on some negativities for me, though, because I want to get these out of the way. There were not much negativities for me. But I do feel like there was a lot of cast members in this movie that we're supposed to have that emotional connection to. And we do get that with a couple, maybe like 2 or 3. The little girl, the girl going to college, and I forget the names. I'm sorry. But the disabled kid who was kind of like his sidekick manager type guy. We got some of that connection there. Not so much with the Call of Duty kid or the big fat kid who had limited words to say. And I wanted to see those guys explored more. I did think the Call of Duty kid was funny. Like, just some of the, like, I know it's a little cliche, some of his humor, but I don't know. I thought it was kind of funny just to hear him get so mad over nothing. It's funny, too. I saw an interview with the actress who plays the foster mother, and she kind of talked about, like, how much her personal experience kind of, like, worked into this film, portraying a foster mother, living with a big family and all that kind of stuff. And what kind of upsetted me about that a little bit is that we didn't really get much of that emotional connection between her, the foster father, and the kids that they were guarding over. And the whole arc between Billy Batson kind of accepting this family after like learning that his mother was just a straight up horrible person, which when we finally got the uncovered of that character, I was like, wow, you're not a no, this is some effed up stuff, man. I get it. That was the whole point of her character. She was like a really, really young mother, which she didn't look 17 in that flashback. I'm sorry, she did not. She looked like mid-20s. I don't know. Maybe she was on drugs or something. I don't know, because I mean, like, drugs will F you up, dude. The fact that the foster parents were trying to become like that new anchor for Billy Batson to look up to and get the parental love he desperately wanted. It just, and also the fact too that kind of bugged me was like the fact that the kid got separated from his mom, was kind of under the care of the police and all that, and they were trying to find him. And yet for some reason, his mother was able to get her name out of like scanners or what. She was able to conceal herself, and like they don't really hint at the police saying like, oh, we actually did contact your mother, but she said she doesn't want you anymore or something like that. I don't know. I mean, like, it wasn't really implied one way or the other, and that part did bug me a little bit of like how, dare I say, MacGyver that felt to me. I don't know if that's the right terminology to address that. It just didn't work for me. And the fact that there was no real parental, the foster parents really did not make that connection well with Billy Batson to assure him that that's where he can go if he ever wants to find love, like to call the place home, as they were trying to imply. I believed it way more with the siblings, like the little girl who wanted to be a sister or a hugger, helping the girl go to college, but she also doesn't want to leave her family because it's cross country and all that. Like, there were a lot of cool themes to explore there, but I feel like the anchor of the parents were kind of a missed opportunity to really like glue that all in. Yes, they had their quirks. Yes, they had their traditions, but there was no real personal moment between them and Billy Batson. At least I didn't get that first time I saw this. So that's my big rant there. I've already talked a lot about that. Let's move on more to the positive things. I didn't expect us to get an ensemble Power Ranger style climax, which I will admit the climax was a little jumbled to me. However, the fact that Billy Batson found a way to share his ability to his siblings, his foster siblings, and they kind of became like weird adults too, which kind of perplexed me. The college girl, she kind of had like, I think she had a different actress playing her, and I was like, I don't know, she kind of looks like in her 20s already, so it's like, why can't she just be herself or something? I don't know. It's weird. I don't know. But the point is, I was surprised by that. I didn't expect that, and I kind of love it. But kind of goes back to my original problem where we didn't get to explore some of the other characters so much, like the chubby kid or the Call of Duty kid. He had a lot of charm and quirks to him that might be familiar for some, but he carried his own identity, I think. The chubby kid, maybe that's just one chubby kid to another. I kind of wish he stood out more than just being the introverted fat guy. Maybe he had he did find the notebook that Billy Batson was gathering names to find his mother, but he was more of a transference between one event to the not hacker kid finding out where his real mom is. I don't know. I feel like they could have explored his character a bit more. And I feel like the little girl who became like the speedster Shazam lady, she kind of stole the show because she enjoyed her role a little too much. And I guess all in all, I think the humor was pretty good. There were some charming moments, things that I laughed at personally that some other people didn't. Unfortunately, I had a mouth breather, nose breather, next to me who kind of distracted me a little bit at first, but he had some good times laughing at some things, and I don't blame him for it. And so did many of the audience people. They laughed too. I didn't quite laugh that much, but I laughed in my head, which is good enough for me. To conclude this review, the spoiler review, I did want to briefly talk about, and hopefully people have gotten to this point, was the first post-credit scene we got, which shows Mark Strong's character in a cell trying to remember the scribe to get to the Council Wizards dimension, or whatever you want to call it. And I remember at the beginning of the movie, we had a little glass with a fat caterpillar. It was kind of hanging out there, but after Mark Strong's character ransacked it to get the initial demons to side with him. We return there. Obviously, they're not there anymore, the caterpillar. And the caterpillar returns and starts using a little device, I want to say, or some artifact that allows it to communicate with Mark Strong, saying yeah, that's one part of magic, but I got the other part of magic. Yeah, we're gonna do things together, aren't we, Mark Strong? It's tell me all about it, please. And then the credits continue rolling, and at that point I was like, okay, well, I am not a follower of the Shazam comics at all. Who the hell was that supposed to be? I'm quite curious, because part of me, when he got frustrated at the scribes, Mark Strong, I heard laughter, and I don't know why. I thought to myself, is that the Joker? Is he going to converse with him? Because I wasn't sure if they're going to try to do the same thing they did at the end of Justice League, where Lex Luthor recruits this Mark Strong character to help him do his evil league or whatever. I'm pretty sure Warner Bros. Has dropped that altogether. But the caterpillar thing definitely threw me with a loop. Threw me in a loop. You know what I mean. It confused me because I didn't get the reference. And so if you know what that is supposed to be about, please let me know in the comment section below. I am very curious to see what that implied. And this is a stretch. Originally, I thought it had something to do with Gorilla Grodd or the other ape from the Flash series, I believe. There was some animal that kind of had a device on them that allowed them to talk. I'm pretty sure that's Gorilla Grodd, but maybe that's just the Justice League or something else I'm thinking about reading minds or something. I don't know, but I don't think that's the case. I think it's something else that I have no clue about. And to be honest with you, I actually thought The Rock playing Black Adam was actually going to pop in at the end saying who upset my domicile? Do my eye hook thing. And then that's that. That's what I assumed. And at the very last post-credit scene, if you stuck around to see the movie, apparently it was in the trailer, but I don't remember seeing it. It was pretty funny. I really liked it, where it was kind of a continuation of Billy Batson trying to discover more of his powers. And he was trying to talk to this fish in a bowl. And they're like, well, okay, you can't talk to fish. That's no good. It's yeah, well, why would I want to talk to a fish? And the other kid's dude, if you could talk to fish, you control 1,000 of them. And Billy Batson as Shazam's yeah, okay, well, it's not that cool. And that's kind of a little knock at Aquaman. So that was pretty cute. Overall, I think it was a really good movie. I'd see it again in a heartbeat. Did I like it better than Captain Marvel? DC? Are you a DC fanboy or a Marvel fanboy? You better choose your side correctly. Well, to be completely transparent with you, I actually did enjoy Shazam a bit more than Captain Marvel. And while Captain Marvel was a lot of fun, and I liked the Skrulls and the whole arc that they were doing there, this one was a little bit more my speed. I am more of a DC fan than I am Marvel, but I enjoy both of them quite a lot. Marvel has more of a successful track rate than DC, unfortunately. But I don't know, if Shazam felt more homely to me. It was more fun. It was more grounded. Grounded as a God's series could go. Oh, and before I go, there was one thing I will say. That little thing they did before the actual credits started, where Shazam came in to the lunchroom, kind of support his brother, and then brought a surprise guest, which I guess is supposed to be Superman. Honestly, as great as that was, I could have done without that. It felt a little corny to me, a little kind of dickish to the fans one way or the other. Whereas like either get Henry Cavill's character in there or just don't. You don't really need to. And if it was Henry Cavill or if it was Superman in general, which I believe it's supposed to imply that, I don't quite understand how much time has passed for Shazam to finally come into terms with his powers to find Superman, befriend him and say, oh, by the way, could you come to this little high school in Philadelphia and like be buddies with my brother or something as I come in? And it's like, how can you get a deal like that done so fast? That was one thing where I was like, yeah, okay, I think that's just mostly done for the audience, but it kind of took me out of the movie a little bit, ironically, at the very end of the movie, technically. But whatever. I mean, like, I'm not offended by it. I feel like I could have done without it, but it was still a fun movie, and I would highly recommend it, especially if you like superhero movies in general. And, it's a pretty good comedy, and a lot of the inspiration I was told was from the film Big with Tom Hanks about, like, a few decades ago. I think there were a couple of nods there before. Like, I remember in the toy store, they had, like, the piano keyboard thing, and Zachary Levi was kind of playing with the idea, but Mark Strong was like, screw it, I'm going to beat you up, and it was funny. Some good moments there, so that'll do it for that. If you enjoy reviews just like this one, I would highly recommend you subscribe to my channel, the Matt Sella channel. I have no fancy name with it. And if you can, please stop at my Patreon at patreon.com/Matt Sella. Links in the description below. Please consider donating $1 a month. It will really help me keep doing this. I want to try to expand my podcast to more news tidbits, more reviews, things like that. And I want to host more on Spotify, which I'm going to see if I can get this review on there as well. So all links that you need to know about how to support me, or at least check out my other podcasts and what have you, are all in the description below. So thank you very much for tuning in.